wasn't very Christmassy. The 2 steps forward, 1 step back dance continues as Leicester foxtrot their way to victory. This is Blue Monday. Hello and welcome to the Blue Monday podcast covering Ipswich Town up or down since 2015. This is the flagship show reflecting on Leicester City away. And joining me for this is Joe Fairs and David Diamond. What was the overriding emotion yesterday exiting the away end for you, Joe?
Yeah, there wasn't anything more than frustration there. It just felt like a game that was there if we could have grabbed it, but we weren't able to grab it in those sort of games. And once we got behind, but even when we were behind, when we scored the goal from absolutely nothing, it felt like there was more to it, but just not good enough to execute in that final third what we needed to, and just sort of a semi-regular story of us this season.
It doesn't get any more enjoyable this season, does it, Dave? Well, actually, no, it does. It gets more enjoyable, and then it gets back to how it was. It's a funny old season, isn't it?
It is. It's an incredibly frustrating season. I know that, and we can see that from the chat. It's incredibly frustrating. But look, you're playing against Leicester. They got some good. I haven't had a brilliant. Well, now they are. They're obviously getting some results out. I think it was only their second home win since August, end of August. I think I read somewhere. But they've got great individuals as we saw yesterday. So. But yeah, well, I think we'd have all taken after the 2 results, after the wins against Coventry and then Stoke. I think we'd have happily gone, and if we'd have been guaranteed a point there, to coin a Mick phrase, we wouldn't bother getting off the bus for it. But yeah, shame it didn't turn out that way.
No, it didn't. So we going off the back of 2 wins without conceding. So going there with some proper momentum. Only 2 changes from the midweek team. I don't think anyone was overly surprised by that after the success of the 1 change midweek. But George Hurst returns in the centre forward position in place of Athon. But there was a real blow there, Joe, with Egeli, who's got up and running the last few games, missing with an injury.
Yeah, I think it said illness, wasn't it? That it was noted after the club, but I did feel he was struggling a bit towards the end of his spell on the pitch on Wednesday. So I wasn't surprised to see him drop out of the team. And then obviously we found out that he was ill and he was not even on the bench and that. But it was a surprise to see Jack Clarke on that side. And while sometimes it's an element of get your best players on the pitch, and I would like to try and do that in some ways, it's sort of a bit of a damning indictment on sort of Casey McAteer, isn't it, that he can't get back in the team into that role against his old club when we signed him for a lot of money. But yeah, it was, and you just hope that Jack Clarke plays better on the right than when he started there at the start of the season. But sort of spoiler alert, he did not.
No. But Dave, I imagine when you saw that team news, you were happy to see Clarke and Philogene on the pitch.
Yeah, it was.
McAteer to me looked like a right back or a right wing back rather than a wide forward.
I mean, I wasn't too disappointed, but as Joe quite rightly said, as the game kind of went on, it became apparent that it really wasn't going to work with Clarke on the right there. He didn't have his greatest game yesterday, did he? And as Joe quite rightly said, it's probably a sad indictment on where McAteer is at the moment. That especially, if it had been up for any game, surely it'd have been up for that. Not that it need to be up for every game, but it'd have been up for that one. And to not get his start in that one must have been, a bit of a blow to him, that's for sure.
Yeah, and he came on pretty late as well. Probably, not great times for McAteer. It really doesn't look like it's going to work out.
And cop for a shining black eye as well, apparently, didn't he? I know he had a clash of heads, didn't he?
What was the reaction like from the Leicester fans when he came on, Joe?
There wasn't a huge amount because it was at the stage where we were in our sort of spell, so the crowd were behind the team, and the cheer for him coming on was more than I could really hear from them. I felt like I could hear a smattering of boos to my right-hand side, so sort of behind the goal, but there wasn't really much of nothing from them was more vocal over the Ipswich fans at that point.
So just to recap, that's the Ipswich team. Walton in goal, Furlong, O'Shea, Kipre, Davis, Massiwa alongside Clark, Jack Clark, as we mentioned, wide on the right, Philogene on the left, and Nunez in behind George Hurst. And this is the Leicester City team, and so much Championship and Premier League experience here, Joe.
Yeah, and international experience. And I say, when you looked at the teams at the start of the game, it's like I wouldn't like to say two evenly matched teams, but it's two teams where there's a huge amount of talent in both of them at this level. And it's not one where you're looking and think, yeah, this is the team we should roll over. It's a team where you think if they turn up and play, we're going to have a tough game. And if we turn up and play, they're going to have a tough game.
Yeah.
And to me, Dave, Dewsbury Hall aside, they don't look much weaker than when we were facing them in the Championship 2 years ago. When they,
I mean, a lot of the same players. I saw Faust was on the bench, I think, yesterday, wasn't he? The Belgian centre back was on the bench. Nelson was playing, but looking through that side, much the same, much called over Reed, perhaps not, but other than that, James obviously came. But
Jordan Ayew wasn't there either. But
a good food, a good food.
Vestergaard was there, wasn't he?
Yeah, Westergaard was there. Daka off the bench was there. So a good fair sprinkling of their squad from 2 years ago.
Yeah. Let's get into the action then. And I heard you say, Joe, that we started okay and we're looking the more likely.
It felt like we had more of the ball and more play was down their end of the pitch, and without doing what we sort of needed to do to break through. I sort of Philogene and Davis had a couple of decent spells on their on our left hand side, but that was about all we had down that side. On the right, I thought both Nunez and Jack Clark were really struggling on that side to do anything. George Hurst was really, really isolated when he got the ball and couldn't make a lot stick. And it was but it looked like if there was going to be a goal, it was going to be something from sort of Philogene or Davis down that side. And we went from there and their goal sort of came out of nothing, really.
Yeah. An absolute wonder goal opened the scoring for us in midweek. This time we were on the receiving end of it in the early minutes there. It's not even going to be the best goal that we concede in this game, Joe, but that's a decent goal and a bit of a sucker punch from Leicester there.
Yeah, and it happened sort of not the build up to it, but it happened to us once where we played a sort of bad ball back to, I think, to O'Shea, but O'Shea, and that sort of triggered two of their players to go towards him. And O'Shea just managed to do enough, and then he got the ball out to Philogene, and I think he fashioned a free kick, and we had a foul, and we had a decent chance. And this was similar, where Thomas had a really loose touch on the ball, and I think that meant everyone sort of flew into him because they saw an opportunity to nick the ball off him. But because he managed to get there and just flick the ball to Decordova-Reid, and that sort of had pulled us out of shape, which meant Decordova-Reid had loads of time to do it. And it's frustrating when it goes like that, because sometimes, like I say, that sort of half mistake allows you to open the other team up more, and that's what Leicester did to us. And you could see from the moment that was hit, it was sort of dipping and swerving all over the place, and Walton didn't get near it, was never going to go and get near it the way he struck it. And all of a sudden, I'd said sort of numerous times, and on the weekend preview, the first goal was going to be so important. We saw the stats in that Blackburn game on the telly, where it's sort of like 31, 32 games where we haven't, when we've conceded the first goal, we haven't come back to win any of these games. And I think sort of Nick in the Telegram put some comments, put some stats in there today, and it really is if you score for, I think if in the Championship this year, if you score first, you are averaging like 2.3 points, and if you don't score first, you're averaging like 0.5. So the first goal this season has been absolutely key, and it turned out to be again.
Always felt like a bit of a football cliche, that one, needing an early goal, but it's definitely ringing true this season. Definitely feels it for us, and those stats, as you say, back it up for the rest of the league as well. Not a huge amount happens between that stage and about the half an hour mark. Jack Taylor goes in the book for a foul on the impressive Jordan James. Do you like the look of him, Dave?
Yeah, player. Yeah, I thought he played really well. Him and Skip, I thought Skip certainly complimented him really well. And someone said in the chat he ran the game first. I say ran the game, but he was very, very good.
Walton beats away the resulting free kick from Fatawu, who's maybe just finding his range at that point. We're not creating a huge amount, but on 37, we have a golden opportunity to level the game. Nunez makes a good run into the Leicester box, cuts back inside, flicks it out to Jack Clark, but the shot's tame and comfortably saved by the goalkeeper. Should be doing better there, shouldn't he, boys?
Has to score. Has to score. I mean, it doesn't hit it too badly, does he? Really? But it's just straight to the keeper, and I don't think it's a scuff as such. It's not a bad connection, but it's just straight to the keeper. Any side of him, it's 1-1 and total. Different reflection of the game then. But yeah, you should put that away.
Quite out of character, that finish as well, Joe.
Yeah, he normally strikes the ball well, doesn't he, when he gets half a chance? And he hasn't missed a huge amount of chances this year without forcing a very good save from the goalkeeper when he does so. But just another opportunity for us to extend our lead at the big chances missed table.
You'll never sing that. Dave, it goes from bad to worse because on 42, I mean, this is perhaps one of the best goals Ipswich have ever conceded, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. Just because of the technique and everything that happens, little bit of play that happens before it, but it's a really lazy bit of play from O'Shea. I don't know what he's doing. The ball's sort of played back to him, and he can usually he's sort of taking a touch and he's looking for the diagonal, perhaps to O'Shea or something, but he just swings this first time ball. I mean, seemingly into like almost no man's land. He's kind of trying to getting it towards, I guess, Philogene and Davis, I think. Taylor's kind of in the vicinity, but I mean, you can't legislate for what happens next. 5 seconds later, the ball's in the goal. You can't legislate for that. It falls to Fatawu. He nicks it, and then he nutmegs Taylor. Taylor's now covering, not in a bad position. He perhaps a bit close, nicks it past Taylor, and he just launches it. And you think, oh, it's a bit speculative. And you think, well, I was watching it, and you think, hang on a minute. Walton is it's one of those comedy moments for a goalkeeper when I watch games. He ends up flailing in the back of the net, doesn't he? Like a caught fish. But the technique and the skill involved in that is just something else. And they showed on the EFL show. He did similar against Swansea, I think, and hit the bar. Not so far out, just inside Swansea's half in one of the games the EFL were covering early on in the season, and he hit the bar. I can remember Chaplin doing it at Sunderland, didn't he? First game back in the Championship.
Yeah. That was the other side of the centre circle, though, wasn't it?
Yeah, not that far out. I mean, this is crazy. This is the other side of the centre circle. Unbelievable technique, and people are going to point fingers at Walton, but you can't expect that. That's just crazy. Absolutely. What?
No, because Walton's starting position has to be quite high, Joe. I think I've maybe seen a few players attempt that.
Gelhard tried it for Hull, didn't he? I think.
Yeah. And Walton always looks so composed in those situations, but because if you freeze it, he probably actually saves it if he just runs back without looking. But you don't do that. You don't do that.
Sort of in the ground at first, it looked like he was going to get back at first, and then all of a sudden you realise, oh, there's no way he's getting here. So I'm then sort of thinking, my only hope at this point is that it hits the bar, and then you don't want to hit the bar and then bounce into Walton and then just him end up with the ball in the goal. You could have seen that happening there because it bounced on like the 6-yard box, so it could have gone that high. It doesn't. It's just one of the best goals I've ever seen live. The technique and how far. I think it turns out it's since Opta have been recorded, so not forever, the longest goal in the championship. 65 yards was it? And brilliant goal and just an absolute. It's one of those ones. If you sort of don't laugh, you'll cry on that one. It's just really, really frustrating. You're then 2-0 down, and you're like 2-0, and they've had 2 shots really in that half. I think they've probably been in our box twice and a half, and we're 2-0 down.
I mean, watching it live, obviously not being at the ground, but watching it live, you think it's one of those ones you think, hang on, did that just happen? It's almost you do a double take. Incredible, absolutely incredible technique. Yeah,
fair play. We're unlikely to concede a better goal than that this season. Before half time, Philogene cuts in from the left and bends a shot just wide. It's by his standards a fairly good opening, isn't it? Like he's scored from those positions before. But Joe, whichever way you look at it, that isn't a good 45 minutes of football, is it?
No, it's not a good 45 minutes of football, but it's also one where you don't deserve to go in 2-0 down. Even sort of 1-0 would have probably been a little bit undeserved. To go into that
two
stage.
Things can be true at the same time, right?
Yeah, and we, let's say, we'll probably come on to at the end of the game, just the way we played and what we tried to do. But yeah, it was a frustrating one, but you still didn't really feel like you were out with it in the game there. It felt like one goal and you were going to be sort of straight back into it.
Yeah, no changes at half time. But if you were hoping for a positive start to the second half, Joe, you were disappointed.
Yeah, and it was a really poor goal. This one, but I think again we'd come out okay at the start of the half and looked like we were going to get back into it quite quickly, and then all of a sudden we sort of break down a couple of times, which had been the way all game. And for me, in the away end, it looks like it's a foul on Leif Davis, but then none of the players really appeal to the ref. So you realise, well, it can't be what I've seen, but you're looking at it from 125 yards away. So you don't really know what's happened. And all of a sudden, like I say, Davis is sort of shepherding the ball off with Fatawu, and then all of a sudden he goes down, and then the ball's at Pereira's feet, and then the ball's in the back of the net. And you think, well, what's happened there? You just assume the ref's going to give it. And it's like, oh, no, not a foul. No one's complaining. 3-0 down. What has happened here? And it just, like I say, we seem to have this habit at the moment of sort of to be fair, since Christian Watt was come into the team the last sort of 10 games, defensively, we've looked a lot surer and not letting these goals. But it just feels like when you're just letting these bad goals at bad times, and it really, really hurts us.
And it's unfortunate because even when Davis goes down and gets a touch, 9 times out of 10 that goes out for a corner. Yeah, that goes out for a corner. But as he goes down, it just deflects to Pereira, who's just continued his run, and and you can tell afterwards no one's really complaining. And Davis, I just watched it back. Davis just looks at his studs, slipped, and that's it. Horrible goal. Horrible goal.
Horrible goal. 3-0 down at this stage. McKenna makes a triple sub on 64 minutes. Ashley Young comes on for Matasiwa in midfield. Yeah. Smodix comes on for Nunes, and Kayusti replaces Taylor. So let's talk about Matasiwa coming off at that stage first, Dave. Is that protecting him from a booking or pulling him out of a game that's probably gone?
Well, it's an odd one, isn't it, that one? Because perhaps if you wanted him to get no disrespect to Sheffield Wednesday, but I guess if you wanted him to pick up a booking, it would have been that game and missed. Well, I'd have been right. He'd have missed the Sheffield Wednesday game, yeah? That'd have been right, wouldn't it? I suppose.
2 games, Sheffield Wednesday.
Of course, he would have missed a Mill. So, yeah, I suppose, yeah.
But purely if the booking comes against Sheffield Wednesday, then it's Millwall and Coventry away.
Coventry,
right?
Yeah. I think he'd had a heavy tackle on him at sort of a few minutes before that as well.
He had, yeah. To be fair, he had. And look, he was, and like I said, I think before we came on air, I thought, we were outplayed in centre mid yesterday by both James and Skip. It wasn't his greatest game yesterday. Certainly wasn't Taylor's greatest game either yesterday. But I think a lot of that was down to their central too.
So Ashley Young coming into centre mid, Joe, is that something you saw coming, or?
I didn't, but when you look on the bench, there's only one central midfielder on there, which is Jens Kayusti, who comes on for Jack Taylor at the same time. I don't know, was Cameron Humphreys on the bench as well? I don't know, but he doesn't seem to be. So. He seems to be sort of a bit further down the pecking order, but Ashley Young did fine there, really. It sort of got on the ball, got into the right place. He was only there for about 10 minutes, and then all of a sudden, Sam Smodix was in central midfield, so...
Strange times, but those changes did bear fruit, I suppose, in a way. Dave, Jens Kayusti, collector's item goal for him. We'd have been pretty gutted about conceding that one, wouldn't we?
I mean, if we conceded that one, that would have just about capped the day off, wouldn't it? But I mean, this was one we have looked like. Well, I don't think even we've conceded a goal quite like this one. I mean, we have had conceded goals like this, Oxford and stuff, but this is a weird one because I think it's the goalkeeper playing with I think it's Nelson. So waiting for the ball, as we know, to try and play the bounce ball to Skip to beat the press. And Nelson knocks the ball to him, and well, surely he's looking at Skip when he's playing it, and he can see sort of Kayusti bearing down on it. Nope, he still plays it, and Skip doesn't even get a touch. It just goes straight to Kayusti, who runs so much so you think. Again, a bit like, one of their second goal, the goal we've just described, the third goal, you think, oh, that must be a foul or this whistle's gone or something's happened there. But no, it was 3-1. And there was still, 20, when was that? 70?
71.
So,
it nutmegs the keeper for good measure as well.
Oh, does it really? I didn't really notice it that far. So still 23, 24 minutes, 3-1. You think, okay, a bit of sniff, perhaps don't deserve it, but we'll take anything that comes our way. And you think, okay, let's having made the changes, that gives us perhaps the impetus. Let's go and get another one and see what they're about. But we say we huffed and puffed out that yeah, they were getting a bit edgy. You know, I certainly were after that. Had we got, I think Clark had a half decent chance. Then he sort of comes inside in the box and can't quite connect. I think, and there's one or two.
That was about 84, and for that sort of 10 minutes, they were sort of really rocking.
Took out their half.
They'd gone quiet. Our crowd was up. We were putting the pressure on, but as too many times, it's just too many little bad decisions in there that bring an end to attacks.
Seemed like we got into the Leicester box quite a lot, Joe, and had those touches in the opposition box that we talk about, but just the decision making or the final ball just wasn't there at all, was it?
Yeah, and I put it in Telegram earlier that I think we had 30 touches in Leicester's box to the 11 they had in our box in the game, and there's too many times where we work the ball nicely, and Ashley Young had it twice where he tries to. He does. It's just like just shoot or try and put the ball in the box. And one time it's like tries to play an impossible ball through to Akpom,
overhits it,
and I think that's the one where the goal comes from that goal kick. But he sort of puts it through to there, and then another one where he's got a chance to put a cross in or just take a shot. He doesn't do it. We then have a decent set piece when I think I can't remember who's fouled on that side, and it goes across, and Clark gets there, but he sort of just nods it back to Smodics, and then Smodics is on the corner of the box, and then rather than try and just shoot, he tries to like dink the ball to the back post, and he overhits it and it just goes off for a goal kick, and it's just like, what? I don't understand why in these positions people just are afraid to shoot. It seems you've got players like Akpom, Smodics, and Smodics is someone who I describe as like a shot monster, someone who, when he plays, is someone who will have like 4 or 5. If you look at his stats, he's probably like 4 or 5 shots per 90 every game. But he's scared to shoot.
You don't mind Nunes blasting the ball over the bar every now and again. Same with Philogene, same with Clark. And you throw Smodics in there as well because you know that they can shoot from distance, and you know that more often than not they're going to get a strike on target. You just allow a bad shot there from Smodics. Far less frustrating than watching him try and float one to the back post, Dave, and overhit it.
As long as they don't blaze it over, you don't mind, do you? But
just work the keeper,
hit the target.
But even if he does blaze it over there, Joe, it's no more frustrating than what happened.
I'd say it's not as frustrating for sure. Yeah, because it's just lame, isn't it? It's just a floaty ball. And for goodness sake, it's about 2 or 3 feet too high. It's ridiculous. You know, and he's at a really good angle as well. Just at the angle, just pick. You know, if you're going to put it, pick the man out, or as you say, quite rightly, have a go. But neither.
And even like the chances we do have, the ball comes across and Smodics air kicks the ball. Jack Clark picks it up. The chance which Dave spoke about earlier, I think that was about 84th minute, and sort of Kipre plays a lovely sort of reverse ball into Clark. He gets there, takes a touch inside his man, and then it's like you've got to take the touch and shoot. And he just, I don't know, he ends up. I don't know if he's even trying to pass that or shoot, but whatever, it was going nowhere near the goal. It was going miles wide. And it's just like, someone take a effing shot. That's what you just want to shout. And the crowd that was the view of the crowd. That was my view in the crowd. And you just think, and I think after Clark did that, after that, the Ipswich crowd went flat after that point. The players went flat. We had a lot of energy after Kuyus's goal till about that point. And from that point on, it just sort of died a death. McAteer came on. He nearly got across at the back post and for a decent cross. But again, it's just I don't know what they're trying to work in the box here. We get the ball into decent positions, and it's like we then try and make it an even better position, and you just pass it off. There was a couple in the first half where all of a sudden you're in a decent position. You try and play one more pass, and the ball goes straight off for a goal kick, and it's like I don't know what they're trying to do at times.
And the weird thing is that we've scored from distance this season a few times as well, and we've shown
they're not even from distance. Sometimes they're in the box. It's not like 25 yards. You sort of 15 yards out, a bit of an angle, hit something, drive it, force an error from a defender, put a decent cross in that might go behind for a corner or might come back to you or something.
Didn't work. We just don't work the goalkeeper. I think 2 shots on target. I think it was yesterday. We just don't work the keepers, do we?
Yeah. Poor. So before we were on air, David, Joe were having a little bit of a not an argument. It was a discussion about how the fans are potentially overreacting to results. So, Joe, your stance is that the fans are overreacting to defeats. Dave, you think that they're overreacting to every result, good or bad?
It's just up and down, isn't it? It's just so up and down. Yeah.
But Joe, you think it's more like definitely more on the side of we're just overreacting to defeats. Why do you think that's the case?
Why do I think that? I think the fans are.
Yeah. Why do you think? Yeah.
I think in the ground, it's just very noticeable how short a fuse some fans have with some players, and it's from the first misplaced pass. It's effing this. This is the moaning the whole way through the game. If we try and go through the middle, it's too congested in the middle. We've got to go wide. Stop passing the ball around at the back. Oh no, you've given the ball away trying to do this. And like some of the comments, like Jack Clark yesterday, obviously did not have a good game, gave the ball away a few times, but there's like one time when the ball comes over to him, he miscontrols, it goes off, and everyone's frustrated. But around you, it's just like, F off, he's effing abysmal, get out of our club. And I just think, like, I'm not saying every fan is like that, but there's enough in every away game that I go to. I seem to have 2 or 3 of these people within earshot of me who just seem to hate every player on the team and hate everything that goes on. And I think, oh, come on, like these, like they're trying it hard. Like I'm frustrated. When thing goes wrong, I might have a big groan, and I know that's not helpful. So I'm not saying I'm sitting there clapping everything that happens, but it's just the vitriol that it turns to as soon as anything starts going wrong. And I just find it quite draining myself to listen to. But
as people have said in the chat, it's the expectation level, Joe, as well, isn't it? And now you're seeing that. Well, again, with 13 points, is it behind Coventry now? Is now 8 to Middlesbrough, and people expect us to be where Coventry and Middlesbrough are, and probably, given what we spent in the squad depth, probably quite rightly. But that's the issue.
Yeah, no,
really.
And I think all Ipswich fans think that though. We're all disappointed with how the season is going. I thought we'd be sort of up in the top 2. I still think we can be, but at the moment we don't look like a well. I wouldn't even say we're not gelled. It just feels like we're not playing well enough when we do it. It's just, and the difficulty is we pass the ball sort of slowly around, waiting for an opportunity to break, and then when that opportunity turns up, we are not executing the pass as well. We're not executing the touch as well. When we win the ball back, we're controlling it badly and giving the ball straight back to them on the other team. So then the ball comes back, and then we restart, and then so it does look like all we're doing is just farting around with the ball at the back and passing there and being very slow. Where really we're slow until the opportunity's there. Then we try and go fast, and then we're not good enough yet. Will we be good enough at any point this season? Hopefully, or it's going to be a very long, draining season if we're not. But we're just not good enough at playing the ball through the pitch when we get the chance. Like if you look for the first goal, it's the first time the ball goes out there. Nunes sort of takes a bad touch. He gets tackled. Jack Clark tries to pick it up. They just roll the ball past him, and then we go the other way. And when Jack Taylor gets booked, it's because Jack Clark picks the ball up in midfield and just miscontrols it, so it goes straight back to James, and then it's through. The Fatawi one, it's a bad ball from O'Shea. Jack Taylor just gets beaten too easily, and then the ball's in the back of our net. I know you don't expect it to go from there. It's just every time we try and force something, we end up sort of coming back the other way, and it's just where is it breaking down? For me, it's the midfield. The midfield 2 aren't good enough on the ball, aren't good enough at...
No, they're not.
And if, like, obviously the Middlesbrough game was very obvious because Hayden Hackney is one we've been after. I thought yesterday was a game again where their midfield was more on top of our midfield. I thought if you were to sort of put James, Winks, Matt Seawer and Taylor, and you to rank those performance-wise 1, 2, 3, 4, they're 1 and 2, we're 3 and 4. So there's lots going on, but I just don't... I'm not saying the fans should be being helpful, but I just... As the other fans, I just find it a bit much when it's just so angry, so vitriolic, and every defeat is followed by we can win 3 in a row and then you lose the next. Well, we can't win 3 in a row. We win 2 in a row. But this week, if you said Coventry home, Stoke home, Leicester away, if you get 6 points from that, I think most fans would have said you'd be pretty happy with that. It's a tough week's football. We get 6 points and it's seen as a disaster because we've lost to Leicester in a game which was pretty even, bar a couple of goals, but. We're not a good enough team to come back from that at the moment, and we should be with what we spent and what the expectations were, but we aren't. So we've got to try and judge the team from where we are at the moment and how it goes from here.
And I think you're never going to get anywhere. I think you're going to get anywhere if you can't find that level of consistency. I think we're the only team in the top 7, did I read, who haven't won 3 consecutive games. You know, you have to get that level. As we saw a couple of seasons ago, you reach that level of consistency, keep hitting that and keep grinding out these results. But We're just not capable of doing that at the moment. And whether that's down to, I don't know, intensity. I don't know. We always seem to react after we concede first, especially away. It's just terrible reaction. It was again yesterday. And yesterday, what you did notice, watching it live, you noticed that immediately we conceded the first goal, there was a massive sort of O'Shea got the players around them, to obviously have a bit of an inquest of what went on there. But was there a reaction 10, 15 minutes after that? Not at all, really.
The reaction seems to go the other way, doesn't it?
It does. Always.
We seemed like after we conceded that goal, it felt like we'd been looking the more likely side, and then after that, it was like we need to do something to make sure we don't end up going 2-0 down here because they got on top of the game, and we managed to find our way back on top of it. And then obviously the Fatawi wonder goal happens, but I think the problem is why we don't play with intensity is because when we do try and up the intensity, we lose the ball. But for me, I just think we just need to be a little bit more. Even we have the ball, even when we're a little bit dysfunctional, when things aren't working through the pitch, we still get the ball in good positions, and then we still don't do enough with it. Like I said, we still have 30 touches of the ball in Leicester's box yesterday. You've got to achieve more with that 30 touches than what we did.
Yeah, it just doesn't flow, does it? It's I can't describe it. So we have scored a few goals like that this season. I remember the goal, Hurst's header from the Sondre, the goal from that Wally Egley cross at QPR. So we have scored one or two goals. Oh, I mean, obviously the goal against Stoke. A nice flowing move that we could go. You could look at the sort of goal we'd scored 2 seasons ago. We seem to have lost that. We're too deliberate. We're too slow. We just don't. Well, it's been said before. We just don't execute well enough.
Dave, if I offered you home advantage in the playoffs, so 3rd or 4th, would you take it at the moment?
Of course you would. Yeah, you would. Yeah, I'm still very much in Joe's camp. I still think with the squad we've got, and perhaps looking at the depth of perhaps some of the other squads, I still think we can get into the top 2. I'm thinking maybe not top, but top 2. But things have got to start happening fairly soon. And as it stands, 2 consecutive away games coming up, Millwall, Coventry. Realistically, can you see us at this stage getting anything from them? I can't, unless things change.
Blimey. Let's hear from our sponsors.
Blue Monday is brought to you in partnership with Atwell Solicitors, your ideal legal partner for property and business law. Whether you're buying a home, starting a business, or just need legal guidance, our dedicated team has got you covered. Trust our award-winning customer service team to handle your legal matters with care and expertise. Find out more at atwells.com or visit us at our offices in Ipswich, Colchester, London, and our new location in Woodbridge.
ITFC women did at least give Ipswich fans something to cheer about this weekend. A 5-0 win over Portchester to book their place in the 4th round of the Women's FA Cup. Lucy O'Brien, sponsored by Blue Monday, opened the scoring in that one. So an uplifting result for the club there. Loads of shows coming up this week. The hectic festive schedule. We've got Beyond the Scoreline, looking back at the Leicester game for top tier. That's on. Yeah, that'll be out tomorrow, Tuesday or Wednesday. But Joe's going to be back for something, potentially November ratings, possibly some extra bits and pieces there with Ben. Pre-match show with Rich and Seb is back in the usual slot on Thursday night, looking ahead to Sheffield Wednesday. And then Henry will be doing the weekend preview for top tier on Friday. And then on Sunday, Rich, Joe and Dave will be back again for the flagship show, hopefully reflecting on a serene afternoon's work against Sheffield Wednesday.
Blimey. Oh my God.
Which brings me on to the other results. What's jumping out at you there, Dave? Norwich beating Southampton.
Yeah, I watched a bit of that. Southampton were really, really. I mean, they missed a penalty. You go 1-0 up. That might have put a different reflection on the game, perhaps. But yeah, they were fairly average. Norwich goal had a smell of handball about it, but fair play. They got away with that. I don't know, really. So Middlesbrough looks like Jordan Whittaker is sort of starting to find his feet at that level. He scored another lovely, I think 6 and 6 now for him. A lovely goal for them. But Other than that, business as usual for Coventry. Again, they kind of got away with it. I saw the highlights of that one. Bristol City had some good, really decent chances, but did what they needed to do there. So, yeah, other than that, not really too much to shout about yesterday, really, was it?
Probably a relief.
Actually, yes. Sorry, Mikey. Hull winning at Millwall 3-1 was a bit of perhaps a turn up, and they're now firmly back in the playoffs after 2 consecutive wins.
And a big thing is that Femi Aziz got sent off for stamping on someone. So he'll get a 3-game ban, so he'll miss the game against us, which is a good thing because he's been their sort of heartbeat, their attacking talisman in their team. So that's good to see. But I guess the standout for me, maybe not result, but performance again, Middlesbrough 3, QPR 1.
Yeah.
Since the new managers come in at Middlesbrough 4 games now, they've just looked absolutely electric going forward, and they're just tearing teams apart. Like, if you're an Ipswich fan, annoyed at how we played Saturday, don't watch the Middlesbrough highlights back because you'll be even more annoyed because they're really showing how it's done at the moment and look really, really good. They've won 4 on the bounce. They're now 8 points ahead of us, and whilst there will be bumps in the road, if they can carry on what they're doing for a little bit longer, they're going to be putting themselves in a very, very good position.
Yeah, young Hackney was certainly pulling the strings as well again. Never mind. Move on.
Maybe something we can cling to. I know we're not happy about Norwich winning, but two of the other parachute teams in Southampton and Sheffield United not picking up any points at the weekend. It could have gone worse, couldn't it?
Yeah, I think the Southampton game, for once, you're not too disappointed to see them win up the road because Southampton were on a right roll, weren't they? So that's not necessarily the worst result. Perhaps a draw would have been a bit better, but yeah, not the worst result there.
And then Birmingham, who'd be brilliant at home, terrible away, plays Charlton, who have been terrible, full stop, since they beat us. And then Birmingham draw at home to Charlton. Yeah. So I guess the only good thing is, obviously, it's not good to see Coventry and Middlesbrough opening the gap up further, but the teams which look like could still be in the hunt for an automatic promotion, which the bookies still think they are with all the data they have, is probably like Ipswich, Southampton, Birmingham. And they didn't pick up results, well, whilst we didn't either. So whilst the gap's got bigger, at least we haven't been left behind by more teams in it.
You're still thinking about the bad news, aren't you, Dave?
I am.
Let's have a quick look at where that leaves us in the table then. Coventry City have opened up that gap again, 47 points. Well, I say they've opened up the gap. Middlesbrough only 5 points behind them on 42. Preston back up in third. Who'd have had Preston third and Millwall fourth on 35 points? We're just a point behind both of those clubs. But Hull are now hot on our heels, level on points with us on 34. And then it's Stoke, Leicester now only 3 points behind us. And on Saturday's showing, maybe could be a bit of a force in the second half of the season. Handy, as we mentioned, that Southampton didn't get anything at Norwich. And then, Bristol City below them, and Birmingham still flattering to deceive somewhat at times. I think they're very much two steps forward, 1 step back as well, aren't they, Joe?
Yeah, and I think it's because they've been brilliant at home and terrible away. So because of the way fixtures obviously fall, you don't have any chance to build momentum up that way. But I guess it has to be remembered that we had 3 points after 4 games, and we've now, in the 17 since, we've got 31 points. We're playing Sheffield Wednesday on Saturday, and obviously nothing's a given, but you've got to beat them, don't you? There's no way you can have Sheffield Wednesday come to Portman Road at this stage of the season and drop any points there. And then you're at sort of 34 from 18 since the window's shut. So if you can sort of roll around and slightly over that 2 points per game mark, you're probably okay. That's when McKenna said the season started for him. And I know there's a lot of doom and gloom. And I guess the positive side we have to look at is actually since the window's shut, we've picked up a fair whack of points, sort of basically 2 points per game for coming up to 3 months now. And it still doesn't look like it's really clicked in an attacking sense. And we're doing that. So if it does click, which we all hope it does, then we should be in we've got a decent base in to accelerate from. But obviously, when you see some of the sort of stodgy performances that they can be going forward, it doesn't feel like it is coming. But ultimately, we've seen a Kieran McKenna side from the middle of February win sort of 14 out of 15 games to go up. I'm not saying that's what we'll do this year, what we'll need to do, but what we hope to do. So it is a decent base of we are accumulating points at a better whack than people realise because of that bad start. So it's just a case of hoping that things do. I'm not even going to say gel anymore because I think we are gelled. I think it is a case of actually. I'm not saying we gel, but the players know their roles. They know what they're doing. They've just got to start doing things better in it, and that's not gelling. That's actually just finding a bit of form, finding a bit of confidence, finding a bit of momentum. So I think we have that. We have that in our locker.
I'm not sure we're well gelled, are we?
No,
more
we're
interesting.
not like Danny Zuko's hair, are we? At the moment?
What is interesting? I think fully appreciate. Obviously, is now Middlesbrough now ticking on the 2 points per game mark as well.
Yeah, and so it's going to be hard to.
Yeah,
I think from the end of the transfer window, had we got 2 points per game from that, I think we'd have ended up with like 87 points. I think if we do get up to around 87, that should be enough this year. I don't see Middlesbrough not sliding back, but it's what we got to do.
Yep.
Right, Dave. We don't have all night, but Dave in Helsinki has asked, what's missing from Town's play? I'm going to slightly change it to what's the main thing that's missing.
I think we've already covered it. It's just that execution in the final third, and it's been the same way all season, as can be shown by the. Whereas, as Joe loved, well, not that's quite right. The number of missed. I think we're sort of nudging ahead at the top of the big missed chances table. It is that execution, I think, in the final third.
Joe, this isn't so much of a question from Paul P. If we don't trouble the top two on this form, as for the playoffs, if we make them, 3 good performances required to win them. Not sure we can put those together. Well, I'm not sure you necessarily need 3 good performances. And what I do you think maybe the wins against Norwich and Coventry, Joe, probably our 2 biggest home games of the season, point to a team that is good under pressure?
Yeah, hopefully. Well, hopefully we'll go up automatically. But if you're in the playoffs, like I say, I don't think you need 3 good performances. I think you just need 1 solid performance, 1 half decent performance, and 1 good performance. Those 3 in sort of any order probably gets you over the line, doesn't it?
I think Sunderland proved that, didn't they, last season?
Yeah, and we've seen like Reading when they went up, they didn't even score a goal in the playoffs. They won the semi-final.
You just can't afford a stinker. You can't go behind, really, can you, in the playoffs?
No.
Although obviously we have before, back in 2000. Lewis, this one's for you, Dave. Do we rest Matasiwa for Sheffield Wednesday so he's available for the tougher challenges?
As people said in the chat, are we in danger of taking this game too lightly? I was with my good pal of mine's a Watford fan. He went to the game the other night, and he said it was just one of those games. Yeah, they obviously were a very, very low block after getting. I think McNeil got the goal, got their early-ish goal, and it was kind of backs to the wall. And he equalised in the 97th minute, so it can go like that. I mean, looking at it, we should have more than enough. Will he rest Matasiwa? No, I don't think he will for that game. I don't think there's any need to.
Joe, could you see that?
No, because I think as well as Jack Taylor's done in recent games, I think when you really need something from him, I don't think he's quite got that going forward. So I'd personally prefer to see the Sheffield Wednesday game where someone else has tried alongside Matasiwa, whether it's Karius or even Marcelino Nunes in there to try and find a way that we can control the midfield and progress the ball through it better. But I'd imagine it will be Matasiwa and Taylor. But I'd like to see something different there to try and do something a bit different in there.
I don't know if it's a question that will come up, but going back to the number 10 role, the old summariser, when I was driving back from watching the game on Radio Suffolk, came up with a thought of Jens Kajust in the 10 role. Hasn't been mooted before, has it? I don't think.
Not great in the final third, is he?
Yeah, goal threat.
Well, not really, is he? But what is out there?
Yeah, it's definitely that. Michael, have we got a number 10 in the club, Joe, or should we try a system without one? Feel like we've talked about this one a few times this season as well.
Well, we've got an abundance of 10s, really, haven't we? It's just trying to make one of them function in the team, and it felt like we were trying to have a 10 as a second striker. That's what when you saw Smodics and Akpom there, but I just don't think we've got enough in the midfield to allow that to happen because we need somebody that can drop in and help out, which Nunes has done a lot, but then. Obviously, everything
and
is sort of
that's kind of been the problem with Akpom, is that the midfield needs him to keep dropping deep, but then he leaves Hurst or Athon so isolated up front, and it just hasn't worked with Akpom in that role, has it?
No, it just hasn't with him. Smoldex, he looked sort of sharp at the start of the season, but he's obviously been out a long time now. It's just, do you try someone like a Jack Clark in the middle there? He didn't work on the right, but is it him just carrying the ball up there and trying to draw fouls and get us up the pitch that way? I don't know, but whoever it is, you just need to. And like I said, people talk about not playing with intensity, but the problem is when we do up the intensity, we don't execute very well. So I don't know. That's what you got to do. Learn to execute better when the intensity is higher. That's what's going to make you a better footballer, isn't it? And these guys can all do it, but they need to show it.
Dave, with Town being so inconsistent, AD asks, is the playoffs our only hope? Was he giving up too soon?
No, I mean, again, we covered this in the last few minutes. No, I don't think so. But we need to, we need somehow to find this consistency as we did a couple of seasons ago when you reel off 4 or 5 games. Then if you reel off 4 or 5 games, you perhaps can have the odd week off. You can afford the defeat, but then you win the next 3 or 4 as we did. So you need that. And at this moment in time, we're just not quite doing it. Look, it was always going to be a difficult game away at Leicester, despite their home form. Oh, crikey, they're only 3 points, 3 points off us now. They've got some class players. It's always going to be difficult, but yeah, it's just frustrating where you get a win or even a point yesterday. You just keep that momentum going. You'd hope for a win, obviously, against Sheffield Wednesday at home, more momentum, and you're then suddenly going to these Millwall and Coventry games. Really, really confident where, another disappointing away performance, another disappointing away defeat. And, well, like I said, leading into the ads, you're almost, it's going to be hard. But, yeah, let's hope we turn up good attitude on Saturday against Sheffield Wednesday and, for once, get an early goal and have a comfortable win. But, yeah, I'm sure it won't be easy.
But I do think sometimes we look back at these previous promotion campaigns and you sort of remember all the highs and forget the lows of them. That when you look at the sort of the League One, especially, we played Sheffield Wednesday on that Saturday and they were 8 points ahead of us or 6 points ahead of us, and we're 2-0 down. They go through with a golden chance to make it 3-0, miss it, and then we come back, draw 2-2, and you think, okay, is this the moment our season starts? And then we go to Bristol Rovers 3 nights later. Well, that Cambridge was before that, and that was when it was bad. But after that Sheffield Wednesday, when it's like, okay, we've come back from 2-0 to 2-2. Now's the time. And we go to Bristol Rovers 3 days later and draw 0-0 in a real stinker performance. Yeah. And then the next game we win, and then the next game we win, then the next game we win, and we win like 11 on
and
the
they
bounce.
Were really low key, those first few ones.
It was maybe Forest Green, Accrington.
Yeah, maybe Sheffield Wednesday. With all due respect, maybe Sheffield Wednesday could be our Forest Green, where we win 4-0 without looking too impressive, and then things start to click into place. And who knows?
But even in the Championship one, obviously the memorable games are your sort of Bristol Cities, your Southamptons, but we had that spell of like
Preston,
4 or 5 games sort of through January, where I think we won like 1 game in January, and I think maybe Sunderland was the only team we beat in January, and then we drew 2 and lost.
Got beat by Maidstone as well, didn't we?
Maidstone in the cup. I wouldn't say it felt like the wheels were coming off, but it was getting bad. And then all of a sudden, we pull out like 8 wins out of 9 or 7 wins out of 8. We lost at Cardiff, but around that, we just went win, lost.
Ironically,
win.
After that spell, wasn't the first game the 6-0 walloping of Sheffield Wednesday?
Yeah,
it might have been.
I think it
was.
We went, but we just went through it, and we had that good run. But towards the end of the season, I wouldn't say we stumbled over the line, but we sort of drew at home to Middlesbrough, drew at home to Watford, and beat Southampton, and thought, okay, we're here. Then we lost to Norwich at the weekend, so it wasn't the sort of straight line that you expect it to be or hope it will be. But I say that I've seen enough to know that we've got it in us to do it, but I've also seen enough to know that we're quite a way off it. But things change. But things change very quickly, don't they? And all of a sudden, if you can win a couple of games and put 4 or 5 on the bounce together, you can do it. But it sort of feels a bit sort of self-fulfilling, doesn't it? We don't have the momentum. We can't come back to win because we haven't done it. So maybe we need to do it a couple of times and find a way to win a game from behind, and maybe that will give us the confidence to do something. But it's just going to take being better in the middle of the pitch. Maybe an injection of quality in January will drag things up.
Yeah, exactly. I was going to say you might somehow dig up a couple of nuggets in January, and that will give you the sort of the drive and the impetus to get over the line.
But
This
like I
one's
said, just quickly, but that Sheffield Wednesday game, we were 8 points behind. After that Bristol Rovers game, we were 8 points behind Sheffield Wednesday in second, and they had a game in hand on us. And that was with like 15 games left, and we managed to turn that over. So it's not over by a long way when we're in the 14th of December, let alone the 14th of February.
It was odd with both those seasons, wasn't it? Because without assistance from Sheffield Wednesday that season, Leeds the following season, we just wouldn't have got up. But that's not to say it happens to all clubs, doesn't it?
absolutely. Skip intro. Do you think we're deliberately blowing promotion, Dave, so we're not obliged to sign the underperforming loan players?
I would say that's unlikely. I like his thought process though.
Gary says, "How is it? How is it if we get an?
How important?
How important is it?
I guess
that we get a new number 9 as early as possible in the transfer window."
Well, you know we won't get one early in the window. It just doesn't work like that. It will be at the end of the window. It always is. Like, I think you hopefully can have a couple lined up at the start of the season, at the start of the window, but I'd be very, very surprised if one of them is a 9, because if it is, the team selling them will always hold out for a bit longer and try and get a bit more money. And it just, even if it, like I say, when we signed Kiefer Moore in the window last time, that was like on deadline day, like February the 1st, he came in, wasn't it?
So here's one for you, Joe. We had to wait for Bournemouth to sign Enes Unal. How about we try and sign Enes Unal in January?
I haven't seen a lot of him, to be fair, but
he's back. He's been injured, and he's back sort of playing off the bench for Bournemouth. But you feel like they'll probably upgrade in the striking positions. I think he's a decent centre forward, and it would sort of be trying to rewrite. It's not rewriting history, is it? But trying to go with the same trick as last time. Thank you very much, MPR26V for the super sticker. $20.
Wow.
Thank you very much. He's obviously enjoying the upbeat nature of the show. Here's another question. Paul P. These come up really small on my screen. I'm really struggling to see them. How many players would you guys be looking at signing, and what positions in January?
About 8. No, I think obviously as we touched on striker, I think a central midfielder as cover for Matasiwa. And I'd still like a sort of good solid. It's a shame Townsend's injured. I think he'd have been a good squad player this season, but I'd still like another cover for Leaf at left back personally, a natural left back in there.
No number 10.
Oh Christ! I think I'm just about done with that. I think
we need something.
Surely they've got to find one. Surely they must find one of what we've got. Goodness grief, they should do.
Go on, Jay.
There already.
Yeah, striker. I think we all know it's a big need. Central midfield isn't right for me, and we've only got 3 in there because if Nunez is being seen as a 10, we're one short in there. Maybe that changes. Nunez drops back, but we need something to cover for Matasiwa. But really, the 2 games he's going to miss is probably going to be too late. The cover's going to be too late for him, isn't it? Because unless he goes the next 4 games without a booking, his ban is going to be served by the middle of January. So, yeah, I'd imagine it's going to be 3 or 4 again. It normally is, isn't it?
Yeah.
George Carr, Joe, why aren't we giving youth a chance? Man City through to Southend all give youth a chance. We don't. Are they just simply not good enough, the ones that are on the periphery at the moment, or just don't suit the system?
Yeah, it's probably a bit of both, really, in that regard. There, our academy sort of fell a long way behind, so we're waiting for that to catch up. And when you look at the players who are closest to the team, it's probably like Santo Boniface is a left back who'll be signed from Chelsea. So you're not talking about local lads coming through. Finn Barbrook's probably the closest there, but he's gone on loan to Lincoln this year and hasn't had a minute for them. Yeah, like
just been really cool, doesn't he?
Yeah, I really liked what he did in the sort of pre-season and start of the season with Arsenal. Did well, so I wouldn't be too disappointed if he's around the squad in the second half of the season, but I still don't see him getting a huge amount of time. I guess Cam Humphreys is the closest, but I don't see where you put him at the moment.
I don't think has he had any game time this season, Humphreys? I don't think he has at all, has he? Has he come on at all?
He came on. Well, you're talking like Birmingham on like the first day of the season. He came on, and maybe a game other than that.
Yeah,
so.
okay, Birmingham. Yeah, I think you're right. Yeah,
yeah. So, but not a huge amount.
No.
More transfer chat here from Joe 5453. Saw Leeds will take 10 million for Gelhardt. Surely that is one we should do in January to liven up our attacking options.
It's another 10, isn't it? Yeah, it's another 10, isn't it?
Yeah. Did look quite sharp, but yeah, you're right. I'm not sure he's an out and out 9, is he? Probably the other one is at Hull, at McBurney.
Yeah.
And we were linked with him in the end of the summer, weren't we?
I think he's been out. I think he scored yesterday. I think he came back and scored yesterday.
He's been very good for them this year.
Yeah.
But maybe a bit short term if we had have signed someone like him. Blagger, with Walton out of contract in June, should we cash in now and then get a quality replacement to compete with Palmer? I'm not sure I want to touch the goalkeeping situation.
I don't think realistically, what fee are you going to get for Christian Walton now? If you got £1 million, I'd be surprised. Like, he's not played in the last sort of 2.5 seasons. He's probably only played a dozen games, hasn't he? So I don't think there's a huge amount there. But there's one stat that I worked out over the sort of previous week after an offhand comment in the Telegram group is that Christian Walton, out of all Ipswich goalkeepers in history, has the best clean sheet record, as in sort of percentage of games kept a clean sheet in, sort of for someone who's played a minimum of 20 games, and the worst is Alex Palmer.
Is that well? Yeah, unfortunately, yeah.
He
played most of them in the
kept
Premier.
one clean sheet in 23 games, and
yeah,
I think Christian Walton, that was his 100th league game at the weekend. I think he's kept 44 or 45 clean sheets.
But that's second.
Palmer's mostly played in the Premier League.
Christian Walton's mostly played in League One.
I know. Yeah, I was going to say after that Bristol Rovers game, it was ridiculous. We sort of went on that run and scored like 50 goals and conceded like 2, didn't we, or something ridiculous. It was almost like that. Yeah.
And the Bristol Rovers game was a clean sheet as well, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Greg Nunn, if we end up in the playoffs, we sort of already talked about this. Do you think this team has the minerals for the fight? I think we'd be all right because we're quite strong defensively and maybe in a tight game.
Yeah,
you'd want
to be fine.
You'd want to think so. Yeah, I think yellow shoes would be earning his corn there. I think, don't you?
But when we talk about ending up in the playoffs, from this position here, it's impossible to know what that looks like. That could be you've got 88 points to come third, or you've snuck in there on 69 points and sixth. Well, if we've got ourselves up to 88, yeah, you'd fancy us against anyone. If we've stumbled in there at 69, 70, then yeah, we're probably going to be hoping for something.
Oh my God! If we only accumulate another 35 points for the rest of this season, I'm quitting. I'm quitting at Easter.
Just go and play golf instead.
Yeah, like evenings then, Mikey. Yeah,
yeah.
Good idea.
Tom Bradford, what's happened to our recruitment since we went up? Random scattergun and under overstocked in different areas. What do you think, Joe? Do you think that it's just a case that we have tried to sign the right players, but maybe it just hasn't worked out as well as it should have done? Or do you think the recruitment has been a little bit slapdash?
I think sort of going back to another bit of both in there, where when you look at sort of the left 10 position, if we call it that sort of became an issue because we wanted to sign Jaden Philogene. We got really, really far into that deal, didn't get it over the line. And then we just sort of went out and signed Jack Clark, and then had Sammy Smolix playing that role. And then Jaden Philogene became available in January. And then all of a sudden you've got Nathan Broadhead, Sam Smolix, Jack Clark and Jaden Philogene, who all were sort of wanted to play in that left 10 role. And it's like you've got 4 very, very good players for one role. And then at the moment you look at sort of Connor Chaplin sort of went out the door and left us without that type of 10. And you have 4 right backs. So it is sometimes if you've made a mistake, sometimes you just have to live with it and try and deal with it and try your best to deal with it rather than just doubling down on it and ending up in that position. Because a 25-man squad isn't very big these days. You can soon feel that it's really only 2 players per position and a couple of spare, isn't it? By the time you've got a goalkeeper in there. So for me, I think a lot of the recruitment has been good, but the problem is the best recruitment last year was Liam Delap and Amari Hutchinson, and then you lose both of them, and you have to start again. But the squad is in a good shape, but I just don't feel there's. I think in central midfield the personnel isn't right. I think in the 10 position the personnel's still not right. So there's obviously questions to be asked, but in every season we've had in both our promotion seasons, we were short of a 9 at the end of the summer window, and we got we got that then sorted in January with George Hurst in League One, and then Kiefer Moore and Ali Al Hamadi in the Championship one. So we need to pull something like that out of the bag again.
I've got a question. Do we think for the sorry, I'm taking someone's question. Do we think for the Blackpool Cup game we'll see Connor Chaplin in the number 10 and Wes Burns on the right wing?
I think Connor Chaplin's done, really, isn't he, at Ipswich? I don't see him. I don't see him back here. I think he stays at Portsmouth. But for all these band of brothers, and I love the promotion heroes as much as everyone. When you look around where they're ending up, there's no one's really doing well. Like Wolfie's on the bench at Coventry, Burgess is struggling at Swansea, Hladky's number 3 at Burnley, Harry Clark's just been injured since. Morsey went and played in, well, you can't really call it a pub league, so they don't drink in Q8, do you? So what's your Q8 equivalent of a pub league? He's been over there, so I don't know where he ends up in January. Massimo's at Millwall, injured. Wes Burns injured. Connor Chaplin's at Portsmouth, still hasn't scored for them yet. And Nathan Broadhead's doing well at Wrexham.
Yeah,
so
Broadhead's doing it.
Yeah, it's not like these players have left and gone on and pulled up trees elsewhere. That was just a moment in time and brilliant. But we have to move on from that. But it would be a lot easier too if we were performing better on the pitch.
Right, lovely stuff, guys. That's the end of that ridiculous run of loads of games in a short space of time. We now get a week off to relax before we do it again at the end of December, start of January. Thank you, everyone, for watching and for getting your questions in. And hopefully the next time we're on doing the flagship show, we'll have a victory to talk about. Goodbye.